Hi, and welcome to the nitrogen cycle video for chemical cycling and biology. Today we're going to focus on just the nitrogen cycle in this video, so make sure you have your nitrogen cycle notes printed out and ready to go. We're going to be filling in some charts and basically going over everything that happens within the nitrogen cycle. So nitrogen is a mineral that's used pretty much by all of the organisms on Earth. So nitrogen is going to enter into the atmosphere in gaseous form, and we call that N2. It has to be transformed into usable form for organisms to use. So we have what are called nitrogen-fixing bacteria in the soil that are going to convert N2 into NH4, and this is called nitrogen fixation. NH4 is also produced by decomposers when breaking down organic material in a process called ammonification. So you basically are going to have fungi and different bacteria that are able to break down dead organic matter and really be able to use it and put it back into the soil. Then you have different bacteria that are going to take NH4 and convert it into what we call nitrite and nitrate. This is called nitrification, and this allows producers to use the nitrogen now, and this is called assimilation. Denitrifying bacteria convert nitrate back to N2 so it can be released back into the atmosphere. So the big thing to kind of know about the nitrogen cycle is it really is a cycle. We have nitrogen in the atmosphere, we have nitrogen in the soil, we have nitrogen in animals and plants and different organisms that are constantly being transformed and kind of going in this just kind of big loop. So we're going to take a look at this chart, and you have this chart in your notes, so feel free to fill it out. Up here we have nitrogen in the atmosphere as N2, but how does it get back into the soil? Well, remember that we have nitrogen-fixing bacteria in actually the roots of different plants that are able to transform that nitrogen. We also have decomposers and bacteria and fungi that are going to break down dead organic matter, and this is going to go through ammonification and create that NH4. Then we have nitrification through nitrifying bacteria, creating what we call nitrites, NO2. So then how do we get it back now into the plants and back into the atmosphere? So what we do is we have the nitrifying bacteria that's going to change it into a nitrate. This can now go back into plants, and plants then are eaten by different organisms, and then it can go back into the atmosphere as gas as well. So you can kind of see here how it's just one big loop. We have nitrogen in the atmosphere that can be transformed through nitrogen-fixing bacteria into that ammonium ion, the NH4, which then gets transformed into nitrites and nitrates that then can be used again by plants and animals. So here's another big chart that you have, and we're really going to get into some details about the nitrogen cycle in this one. So up here we have atmospheric nitrogen, and we first are going to talk about how this gets back into the soil. So if we look in the ocean, we actually have algae in the ocean that are going to be able to take up this atmospheric nitrogen. The algae is then going to be eaten by different marine life, and then once those animals die, they actually get kind of break apart, and the nitrogen floats to the bottom, where then it can be eaten by that kind of bottom well-dwelling animals and also go into the sediment at the bottom of the ocean. Lightning and nitrogen-fixing bacteria can also take nitrogen back from the atmosphere into the soil. And once it gets into the soil, it's in as soil nitrate. So what do we do from there? Well, the nitrate's going to be taken up by plants. The plants are going to be eaten by animals. And this is a direct route going back into the soil. Those dead organisms are going to be broken down by different decomposers and bacteria, and then it's going to become soil nitrate again. And then a direct human cause of putting putting nitrate into the soil is through fertilizer. So how does it get back into the atmosphere? So we have the nitrate now, and we have certain bacteria that are able to take that nitrate and turn it back into atmospheric nitrogen. Volcanoes are also a huge source of atmospheric nitrogen. So this is a really good overview of how nitrogen can transform from the atmospheric nitrogen into the ocean from algae, which are eaten by animals. The animals die, and then the nitrogen returns to the sediment at the bottom. Lightning and nitrogen-fixing bacteria can actually take that atmospheric nitrogen, turn it into soil nitrate. That nitrate can be taken up by plants to be used. It then can be eaten by animals. The plants are eaten by animals. Those animals die, and through decomposers and bacteria, we can return that nitrogen to the soil again. A direct human cause of putting nitrogen into the soil is through fertilizer. Once it becomes nitrate, we can use different bacteria to transform it back into atmospheric nitrogen. So make sure you've filled out all your nitrogen cycle notes, and you guys are good to go. Thanks for watching.